Welcome to the Jamaica Basketball Project. I'm Rick Turner, head coach of the Jamaica national basketball team. Appreciate you hanging out with us on the live stream. And we're doing it a little earlier today because we're going all the way to France to check in with our guest. And appreciate you guys who watched the live stream. Appreciate all of you that check us out on the replay as well. If you have tuned in live, of course, there's opportunities for you to ask questions, and we'll get your questions out to our guests. Want to wish everyone here in the States a happy Memorial Day weekend, and everyone in Jamaica a happy Labor Day weekend, as I guess the official start of summer begins, and it's a strange start, as we all know. Dealing with the COVID situation. But we're going to go all the way to France. And as an introduction, I'm going to let this gentleman introduce himself to you because he has his own YouTube channel. And we're going to get a little taste of what quarantine was like maybe a week or so ago in France.
Welcome to France, or like we say here, bienvenue en France. There are a few people out here. You could tell summer's in the air. Such a nice day outside. I'm about to go back inside though, because my hour is almost up. But first, let me just take in these views.
There he is, Ricky Alliman. How
Yes,
you doing?
sir.
How you doing, buddy? You look like a leading man out there. Looks like it's going to be your audition for a Hollywood career when you're done with basketball.
Oh, wow. I would like to think so.
Yeah. How you doing, man? It's great to catch up with you, and thanks for doing this from the other side of the world, at least from me here in Seattle. How are things going in France? We see that I watched that whole video, and it seemed like you guys had to have papers in order to go out in public or get clearance in order to leave your house. It must have been a different situation for you as well.
Yes. It was pretty intense because we only had like 1 hour to go outside. You know, we had a 1 hour limit to either like go shopping for groceries or walk your dog or exercise or whatever it is. And you had to have a piece of paper, a justification for why you're outside, and you have to sign it too. And then that was the case at first, and then eventually they went online. So we were able to go and, download the thing on our phones and sign it. So just in case you get stopped by a police officer or so, you show them that and you're good. If you don't, then you'll get a fine.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, our guy Kyle Keys asked that question. They limited outside recreation. Only could go out for an hour, huh?
That was the case. May 11th, that was lifted. So the economy started opening back up on May 11th, and since then, things have been starting to open slowly. And now you don't need a justification anymore. You can just go outside whenever you want to.
Good. Are you getting a feel for? Are they going to get the basketball season cranked back up, or is that done for this year and we're on to 2021?
Yes, we're moving on to the next season. In March, we learned that, for my league at least, we learned that the league was going to be canceled, and we're just going to start from scratch for the next season, 2021.
So catch me up now. We were just talking before we got started here, 33 years old. You're still a young man, but you're old in basketball terms. What have you been doing, man? Catch us up. France currently, but you've been all over the place, haven't you?
I spent most of my career in France. I've been playing professionally for 9 years now. Like this season made it 9 years, 9 complete years that I played professional.
All of them in France?
8 of them in France, 8 seasons in France. And then I played 1 season in I split it between Venezuela and Mexico.
Yeah. So how's the ball in France? How's that league? How are you holding up? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, basketball in France, it's still a growing sport because over in this side in Europe, football is like number one. Or when I say football, I mean soccer.
Right.
Yeah, in American terms, it's soccer. But so football is number one. Basketball is still growing, and getting more and more popular. And with like Tony Parker and French international stars like this, they're definitely trying to push it more and more. So it's becoming more and more popular.
So I was talking to Rowan Robinson about you yesterday, and and he, of course, he said to say hi, and he said that things kind of exploded for you when you were playing for Jamaica in a tournament, in one of the CARICOM tournaments or something like that, and a scout from the Dallas Mavericks saw you, and kind of fill me in on how things exploded for you from a basketball standpoint.
Oh, that I wasn't aware of that part where a scout from the Dallas Mavericks saw me. I wasn't aware of that at all. But
what he was saying was that your time playing for Jamaica really kind of put you out there on the world stage.
Yes, definitely. I actually started out playing soccer.
You can say football. It's okay.
Yeah, I'm just so used to saying football now.
Yeah,
because I'm European, I guess. So yeah, I started out playing football growing up, and I actually started playing basketball when I was 15 or 16 years old. And so I also played tennis too at first. So I was going, that was my focus. I was all in on, football and tennis. And then I remember it was the summer of my my senior year summer of my senior year in high school in Jamaica. I had a growth spurt of about, I don't know, a foot or something. And a few guys from the basketball team, like, I just remember one day I was just walking, going about my way, and a few guys from the basketball team, they just surrounded me and was just like interrogating me and was like, we think you could be a good part of this team. And I wasn't about it. At first, I didn't want to do it at all.
Yeah.
And then eventually, we came up with an accord or with a deal. They said, come to practice once. And if you come to practice once and you like it, cool. But if you don't, then you could, go on and play your tennis or do whatever else you want. So I was like, okay, I'll do that. So I went to practice that one day, and it was just instant. I fell in love with the sport, and the rest is history.
And haven't looked back. So go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, in relation to where Rowan was talking about me playing in the for Jamaica, this was the under 18. I remember it was a CARICOM tournament in Trinidad and Tobago, under 18, and I was a part of that team. And going in, I didn't have much expect. I mean, I'm motivated naturally, but I didn't think that I would do that well. But something just clicked, and I ended up being one of the top players on that team in that competition. And from then, it was like, oh, maybe Ricardo, maybe he can do something at another level. So that's when I first started, like, seeking scholarships to go overseas, to go to the States and, go for my studies in basketball.
Yeah.
And it just took off.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, and I'm asking people if they want to ask questions, Willie London chimes in asking, what high school did you play for in Jamaica?
Wow, that's a big one in Jamaica. We're very proud of our high schools.
I know that.
Calabar Lion. That's what I am.
Okay. And he asked another question. The interview guys, I'm sure you know the interview guys, Gary and Willie,
Yes.
and they had Adrian Forbes on. And it looks like Adrian said that you were the person that helped him find an agent and asking what plans you have after basketball. and coming back. That's kind of a lot of questions in that one. But first of all, talk about Adrian a little bit and how you helped him out.
Oh, okay. Well, Adrian, that's one of my best friends. We came up together. So, you know, I'm 1 year older than him. And we came up, you know, in the high school circuit coming up, and then he came to the States like me. And then we did 4 years of college in the States. And then I remember 1 year when he was coming out, he was like looking for agents because he didn't really know. And I had already been playing for like a couple of years overseas. So on my agency, I introduced my agent to him. And that year he was able to come to France, actually, because I was in France. He was able to come to France and, you know, play and that really kickstarted his career.
Cool. So I spoke to another friend of yours yesterday, a Cedarville alumnus, Mr. Minto, who said to say hi.
Okay.
And yeah, and he was telling me about your great career at Cedarville. Talk about getting there and getting to the States. That, you know, that first experience. And I've talked to a number of guys about this. I mean, it's got to be simultaneously overwhelming and intimidating to leave the place you've known as home forever to embark on a strange journey in a strange land with people you don't know. Talk about what that was like to leave Jamaica for the first time and go to a place like Cedarville, and just what that experience was like.
I mean, it was a mixture of emotions. It was anxiety, excitement, curiosity, all those things combined in one. Actually, my first year I went to prep school. I actually went to a prep school in Florida. That was my first experience, like going to the U.S. And it was a big culture shock for me. Even though I was a bit aware of what it was like to be in a high school setting in the States, you know, based on what I saw on TV and stuff. But when I got there, it was actually a big shock, because just to see how everything worked, and no one understood what I was saying. And it was hard at first. It was hard because, you know, Jamaica was all I knew, and going to the States, yes, I was excited because that's like most kids' dreams, you know, to go to the U.S. and, you know, play basketball and pursue their dreams. And so for me, it was like that.
Yeah. What about the basketball? Because I would imagine it was quite a step up in the level of play from coming, you know, no disrespect to what's happening at Calabar, but leaving there and then going to a prep school and then on to a college basketball situation. That must have been an eye opener.
Yes, it was a big eye opener. So when I was in high school in Jamaica, I was certainly one of the top players, no doubt. And then when I got to the States, I had to learn quickly that what we were doing in Jamaica was nothing crazy, nothing great. Because no, I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna put it like that. I'm just gonna say, like, the levels. There's levels to it, and every time you level up, you realize how much more you could improve. So me in Jamaica, I was one of the stronger players, athletic and all of that. And when I got to the States, I realized quickly that I'm no longer the strongest player on the court. I'm not the most athletic. So now I'm gonna have to like work on my game hard and improve as much as I could. And that's what I did.
What did that mean to you, though, when to say you had to work and improve on your game? Is that hours by yourself in a gym? Is that you with an individual coach? Is it in the weight room? Talk about all the things that it took, because I know it's not an easy path to get to where you are now.
Yes. It's definitely a lot of work by yourself. So first, I realized that I needed to get into the weight room. So I did a lot of training, you know, working on my body, and definitely had to get stronger, because in the States, it was just a different ball game. And then in the gym also, countless hours, just like working on everything, watching different videos too, like on YouTube, for example, learning fundamentals and learning, you know, anything I could to improve my game.
You've been going at it.
This attitude is stuck with me to this day.
Yeah, you've been going at it for a long time, and that takes a certain personality to be able to persevere over that amount of time. And I know that especially when you're talking to younger kids that would love to someday be in your position, but don't really understand the work that's involved for it, nor probably the emotional roller coaster that it is. I mean, there has to have been a number of times over the past 15 years or so of your basketball career where you just thought, this is no fun. I hate it. I don't want to do this. It's too hard. No one's seeing me. Just the roller coaster of emotions that you have when you're striving for a goal. Tell kids about how you overcome those moments. Those moments of doubt. Moments of doubt is what I'm getting at.
Okay. Yeah, we're definitely gonna have moments of doubt. I mean, it's a part of being human. And for me, when I was in that prep school, there were a lot of good players, like really good players who were getting recruited by top universities like Florida State, Florida, Memphis, top Division I programs. And for me coming in, I actually started the school year late too. I came in October. I remember October 20, 2005. And yeah, I'll never forget that day because that's the day my life changed. So I remember coming in and seeing all these guys and all the attention they were getting, and no one was looking at me. And I was like, wow, okay. So that right away, that definitely put a little bit, started to doubt started to creeping in, like, am I good enough to do this? Like, what am I doing here? And with that coupled with being away from home, being away from family, it's like it got tough. There were definitely dark days. Christmas, I couldn't go home. Everybody else went home. Stuff like that. And but I just persevered. No matter what happened, I always kept a positive attitude and just keep working on my game. And yeah, like today, what is it? 15 years later. I mean, I know a few guys who in that same position who are still playing, but not many of them.
Yeah.
So that definitely shows that perseverance always helps to keep pushing you forward.
Yeah. Here's one from Gary Reed. What has basketball taught you that carries over into other areas of your life?
Wow, a lot of life lessons. Basketball has definitely taught me a lot of life lessons. Just there's going to be tough times. We're going to be put in tough positions in our life in different areas, and you just got to stay focused, stay calm, and just make progress. Like, don't worry about failing. Just keep slow progress is better than no progress. Pretty much. That's like that's one of the main lessons I've learned from basketball.
Yeah, just keep moving one foot in front of the other, keep grinding, right? Yeah. So when did you start to realize that you're really good? Like, when did you start to realize that I might be able to get paid to play basketball?
This was this would probably be my junior year going into my senior year. Like, I remember at the beginning of my senior year.
Of college?
Yes, of university, Cedarville University. So I remember the first few games. I don't know what happened. Like, I mean, it's like now looking back, I'm like, okay, that's just a natural progression of going through college all 4 years. Your freshman year, you're coming in, and you're just like discovering a whole new world, and working on your game a little by little. But once I got to my senior year, I realized that I was like dominating the league, and I was like, that's when it clicked to me that maybe I could do something at another level. That was always like, this was always a goal, because when I was in Jamaica and I started getting into basketball, I always had like posters of all my favorite players, NBA players that is, in my room and stuff like that. So definitely the motivation, and that was always a goal of mine. But when it really clicked that I could actually play and make earn a living playing, that was my senior year in university.
Yeah.
And I ended up being an All-American player.
I just got to, I got to recognize Willie here. I'm going to ask him the other two questions later as we go here, going in order a little bit. So don't worry, I'll get to him. So you decided to turn pro. How does that work? If I know I'm getting texts and emails from kids all the time that want to turn pro and don't know how to do it. You did it. Did you just reach out to an agent yourself? Did you send out a bunch of tape and hope to get phone calls back? How did that happen for you?
Well, first off, you have to be able to play, right? So definitely,
that's the important part, right?
Yeah. That's the most important. No matter how many contacts you have, no matter how many people you know, if you can't play, then that's going to be an issue.
Problem.
Yeah. So, having that year that I had in my senior year, I definitely, put my name out there that, I could actually do something and do something special, that is, on the pro level. And my coaches from my university definitely helped with that too. They helped getting my name out there, talking to different agents, talking to different scouts and stuff like that. And it was one of a guy, I don't know if you know Andrew Kennedy.
I know the name. I'm not sure if I've met him.
Yeah, so he's the one. Like I actually spoke with him once, and he actually knew someone, an agent over in Europe, and that's how I got connected with my first agent. So he talked to the agent about me. Then the agent got back to me and was like, "Yeah, I saw your video on YouTube. We think you could play it in the Europe. So let's talk about what we can do together and stuff like that." So that's definitely how my story started playing professionally.
All right. So I'm going to roll some video highlights of this guy right here. I'll put him up. Hold on. I'm getting rid of this banner. All right. So tell me about your game a little bit. Not necessarily these highlights, but we'll just kind of watch while you tell me about the type of player that you see yourself as.
I'm definitely a high energy player, rebounder. I played a four spot mostly at the four position, power forward, and with a little bit of the three. Mm-hmm. And definitely a high energy player, great rebounder, and willing to get dirty on the court. And mid range is probably my sweet spot, but I definitely worked on extending my game out to the 3-point line. But in the mid range, like anything around that area, I'm definitely most proficient, I would say.
Being the veteran that you are now, your game obviously has grown and evolved over the 9 or so years that you've been a pro. How are you different now than when you first started your pro career?
I'm definitely, what would I say, more controlled, more poised in my game. At first I was erratic, like doing all kinds of. That worked for me at the time because as I said, I'm a high energy player, so I definitely get excited and all of that. But now I'm definitely more, in the tough situation, I definitely try to remain even keel, no matter what's happening. Remain even keel and do my job when I'm on the court.
You seem to be the type of guy, just from some of the video that I've seen, type of guy that doesn't take any plays off, relentless, and the type of guy that opponents hate to play against. Is that a fair assessment?
Yes, I would say so. I definitely pride myself on being that type of player.
Where do you think that came from? Where did that sort of tenacity and that all-out ball kind of come from? Because some guys, and you've seen him over a long career, some guys are on the court trying to save energy and only giving it in certain spots where they feel like it's their time. But you seem to be able to play both ends.
Yes, definitely. I believe when I'm on the court, I just want to be of value to my team on both ends of the court. And never take a play off, like you said. And I believe, like, for me, that has worked to help me to, like, give confidence to my coaches and that I can always be an asset out there on the court, no matter when, no matter at what point in the game.
What do you think has contributed to your longevity? Because there's not a lot of guys that have been able to play as long as you have.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I think it has a lot to do with genetics. That definitely helps, but that's definitely not the main reason. I definitely do take care of my body in terms of like working out, making sure I stay in shape at all times.
Has that had to change over the years?
It hasn't like changed much because I've always been like that, but I've definitely like adapted to different situations. Like for example, when I was in the States, I was all about working on my absolute strength. So I'd be like in the weight room doing bench press, all kinds of weight. And eventually, like when I got to Europe, I realized that over in Europe, that's not the case. They work more on functional strength. So I started doing more plyometrics, started doing more work that will help me, functionally in the games.
What about nutrition? Has that been a program you've been on? Has that evolved over your career?
Yes, that's definitely been a very important of my longevity. That definitely contributed to my longevity. I've always been someone who's health conscious, and it's very important to me to keep not a strict diet, but at least have some form of guideline in order to eat healthy. And like anyone else, I do slip up every now and then, but it's all about balance. So once I stay on track with that, then.
But a nice plate of curry goat and rice and pea, you're not turning that away.
Oh man, oh my goodness, yeah. Now you got me thinking about, definitely not turning that down. Yeah. Especially the fact that I haven't had that in a long time.
That's good. So let's talk a little bit about your Jamaica basketball career, because, and I got to tell you, one of the things that attracted me to start doing these live streams, and I've talked about it before on here, but I want to highlight Jamaica past, present, and future. And so, I want to talk to the future players of Jamaica basketball. I want to talk to the guys that are in it now, and I want to talk to the past players. And you kind of have a footing in all three of those. And so I guess I'm asking you questions that I don't know the answer to. So you're going to have to help me. You played on a good team in 2013. When did you start with Jamaica basketball? You mentioned the under 18 team.
Yes.
How many games with the program have you played? I mean, I don't need an exact number, but just give me a general idea.
From the juniors coming all the way up to the seniors?
Yeah.
I mean, let me see. I've played in about maybe 5 or 6 different separate competitions. So, and it would be like about 6 games, or on average, it'd be about 6 games per competition. So,
yeah. Well, go back to the first time, that under 18 team. Who were some of the guys on there, and talk about, did you guys have some success? Was it a struggle? What was that tournament like in Trinidad and Tobago?
It was a struggle. We didn't make it through to the semifinal round in that competition, because these FIBA competitions are, you had the first round, and then the best 4 teams. All right, best 2 teams from each group move on to the semifinal, and then you just keep going. In that competition, we didn't make it through, but it was definitely an eye opener for me, because I saw what it took to be successful on an international level. And so that was actually the first international competition that I played. And then after that, what was the next one? So that was about in 2004, if my memory serves correctly.
Do you remember some of the guys on that roster?
Yes, Adrian was a part of that roster.
Okay.
And let me see, is there any other current pros? No. I think Adrian and I would be the only 2 remaining pros on that roster.
Yeah. And then you ended up on the roster of the senior team.
Yes. So when I was in university, when I was in my junior year, going into my senior year, I got invited to come to the training camp of the Caribbean Basketball Championship, the CBC, in the British Virgin Islands. So I came not knowing if I was going to make it or anything. So I came to Jamaica, came to training camp, and worked. Just like we've been talking about, working. And the coaches, the coach saw something in me and saw that I could help the team. So that's where I got my first opportunity in the seniors.
What was that roster like?
That roster had, guys like Samardo Samuels, Wamey Rose, Kimani Friend, who else? Jerome Jordan, and a lot of other pros who play on the top levels in Europe.
Am I right? Is that 2013?
Oh no, that was 2009. That was my
2009.
first.
Okay.
Yeah, the Caribbean Basketball Championship.
Okay. So then, as you move forward, were you on the team in 2013?
2013, I wasn't. That was for the Tournament of the Americas.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, for the Tournament of the Americas, I was not a part of that team because I already signed a contract to come to France, and my team would not let me. Because I remember that competition. It was late. It was in August, and by that time, my team was already in training camp. So they were like, "You come here. You have to come here and work out with us and train. Be a part of our training camp." So that's why I never got an opportunity to go to the training camp for the Jamaican national team.
Okay.
And for the Tournament of the Americas in Venezuela. But the year before that, in 2012, I was a part of that team. That was in Puerto Rico when we qualified for the Tournament of the Americas. Okay. So I was a part of that bronze medal team, which was a big thing because that was like the first time in history that a Jamaican team made it that far in international competition.
What was that like, man? That had to have been a ton of fun.
Yeah, it was. It was a ton of fun. We had a great group of guys, and we just worked hard together and enjoyed being around each other. And yeah, it turned out to be a success for us.
So I don't know if you've heard. I've talked about it a few times. We have a goal of making the Olympics in 2024, which happen to be in your backyard right now in Paris.
I know, right?
Yeah. So. And it's a heavy lift, and it's gonna take a lot of people, kind of rowing in the same direction. But just kind of give me an idea of what that would be like to get a berth to go to the Olympics. What that would mean to someone like you personally and to the country.
I mean, that would be an amazing thing if we could get to that level. I mean, and I'm aware it's really. That would be really tough to do because the competition is just so great, in international competitions. So the more you go up, the more you realize how tough the competition is. So starting at the Caribbean level and then, moving to the Central Basket level, then the Tournament of the Americas. And then after that, so, but that would definitely be an amazing thing. And that would definitely be a great thing for Jamaican basketball. And just to put us on the map, because a lot of people don't know that, we have great players who come out of Jamaica.
And if you don't dream big, then they'll never happen, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. What was that like to put on that Jamaica uniform?
I mean, it's just a feeling of pride in your country. It's great because you get to represent your country. Not a lot of people are able to, say that they have that opportunity. So when we get to do that, put on that Jamaican jersey, it's just amazing. It's just an amazing feeling. And yeah, I mean, pride in your country. That's definitely the biggest thing.
Yeah. And there's only a select amount of people that could even ever put that jersey on. So that's pretty cool in and of itself. So a couple more questions for you. From Willie again. Did you play for Division I team or NBL team after you left high school?
Yes, I did. I played in the NBL my last year of high school in Jamaica when I was at Calabar. I played for the Blazing Panthers for 1 year. So that was a great experience too, because that helped me to level up a little bit from the high school to the NBL level in Jamaica.
We got to get that NBL going strong again, right?
Yes, that would be a great thing.
Yeah. All right. Now I'm going back to Willie to your questions from before. After basketball, which we hope continues. Well, let me ask you, is there an end in sight for you, or are you going to play until they rip the ball out of your hands? What's your thinking in that regard?
I mean, I wouldn't say I would play till they rip the ball out of my hands, because we just never know. I'm going to go until my body tells me, okay, now it's time to, take a step back. So right now I'm feeling good. So I'll definitely pursue playing while I can at a high level. But when the time comes, I'll know. I'll certainly know.
Do you have any ideas and thoughts what you want to do when that time does come? Life after basketball?
Yes. And I mean, over the last few years, maybe I've definitely been thinking about different things, what could be my next passion in life? Because, basketball has definitely been a passion for a major part of my life. So I've definitely been looking at different areas where I could be passionate about. And for me right now, I'm all about I'm very interested in the economic world, investing and real estate. So I definitely try to pursue a career in real estate after my basketball career is over with.
Have you ever done
in other ways?
Have you ever done any coaching yourself? You ever thought about coaching young kids or coming back to Jamaica to do camps or anything like that? Has that been part of your background or future?
Yeah, throughout college, I've definitely come back a few years and helped out with certain camps. I've never been. Somebody said Anthony. I've been a part of a few camps in Jamaica. So you have Star Search. I've never actually been a part of Jump Ball, in terms of a coach. I was a participant once.
You went though.
What's that?
You were a player there though, right?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So that was cool.
What do you think of coaching? You like coaching kids?
I mean, I like it. But I wouldn't say it would be a passion of mine per se. But I do, whenever I do get the opportunity to do it, I extremely I like it because I get to share my experiences of being a player with them, and trying to just encourage them in any way I can to let them know what it takes to be successful in basketball or whatever other area in life.
There's some kids probably watching this or will be watching this later on that I kind of touched on before, that will have hopes and dreams to be in a position like you're in now, playing basketball professionally, checking out a new culture, getting paid to play, meeting, a variety of people, traveling the globe. What would you say to them to just help them see that can happen for them?
Well, I would say never stop dreaming. Whatever you put your mind to, you can achieve. But at the same time, it's going to take a lot of hard work, and it's going to take perseverance, because some days you're going to feel down. You're going to feel like you want to give up. So you definitely have to keep persevering and keep working hard, and try to just be as much as you can. Try to speak with people, because at the end of the day, it's other people who will be able to help you. So network as much as you can, and your game will speak for itself. The results on the court, that will speak for itself. So do everything else in your power to put yourself in a position to be successful.
Cool. Well, it's starting to get late. I know it's starting to get near your bedtime. What city
during this quarantine? Maybe not.
What city are you in?
I'm in a city called Tarbes. It's in the southwest. Yeah, the southwest area of France.
So, I mean, people know where Paris is. Where are you compared to Paris? A ways away?
Yeah, 7 hours away from Paris. 7 hours in a car, driving in the southwest direction from Paris.
All right. So how do you get around? Do you have your own car there? Do you got a motorcycle or a bike, or how do you move around?
The team that I'm a part of, they provide a car. So that's a part of.
You drive or they have a driver for you?
No, I drive.
Okay.
I'm not at that level where I have a driver or anything like that. So
well, the reason I ask is when I was in China, it was sort of a similar deal, except for they don't let foreigners drive. So we had to have a driver. So
yes.
I did kind of feel big time back then. I just call my driver and have him take me down.
Yeah. In certain countries like China, like you mentioned, or Russia, I've heard too, like countries like those where it's either not allowed or it's extremely hard to, drive and stuff like that in certain countries, like based on the conditions over there. In certain countries like that, then you might have a driver. But in most of like Western Europe, so like France, Spain, Germany, countries like those, the team usually provides a car and you're able to drive around. So, and it's pretty similar the rules are pretty similar to the States. So it's not that big of a culture shock.
Okay. So I'm going to let you go here, but one thing I know about Jamaicans is that they have a discerning palate, meaning you like, Jamaican food and you have good taste in food and like most Jamaicans. What's it like in France? Are you able to find a good meal in the city you're at?
Sure.
No patties.
When you think of France, you think of, what would you say? Haute couture, of like, fine cuisine and stuff like that. So you could definitely find that in France if you want to. But that lifestyle is probably more on the expensive side. So, but you can definitely, because France is a melting pot. There are a lot of different cultures, a lot of different African cultures and stuff like that in France. So you can definitely find good food here. I'm probably more drawn to the African side. Unfortunately, there's no Jamaican, there's not a big Jamaican diaspora in France. So I'm more drawn to the African culture.
There's not a tasty patty around the corner?
Oh, man, I wish. I really wish. That I'm really missing. I actually was just talking about tasty patty to a friend the other day. Would have been so nice.
Okay. Willie says he's seen players leave Jamaica who are on scholarship, but come back because it was too hard. Why did you tough it out?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard stories, and I mean, it's tough because when you get to the States, you realize that certain things that is acceptable in Jamaica, it's just not acceptable in the States.
What do you mean? Give me an example.
The biggest example would be just being on time. And I had to learn that really, really quick. The first day, I remember one of my first practices in college. I showed up to practice maybe like 5 minutes later or something like that, and the coach just let me have it. He let me have it, and from that day on, I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna have to be in practice early every day from now on. So that was definitely a big shock for me because in Jamaica we walk in, and I mean, not to say anything bad about Jamaica at all, but that's just a part of the culture, being an island time and all of that. That just doesn't exist in the States or in France, for example.
Early is on time is late, and late is unacceptable.
There you go. Right. That's a perfect way to put it.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, like I know, like in my current team, if I'm ever late, we have to pay for every minute that we're late. So that's an incentive to be early.
I gotta confess something. I probably shouldn't even say this, but I've noticed that a little bit with working with Jamaicans, and as we've been doing these live streams, I've been like just concerned that if I say we're starting at a certain time, that it's going to be a little bit later than that time, and it hasn't been the case at all, not one time yet. So I'm pleasantly surprised. But yeah, I haven't even cheated it at all. So it's. Also, right. What kind of car do they provide for you? Is the question. Ferrari, I would imagine.
Oh wow, that would be nice, but no. It depends. Every team is different. Every team has a different budget they're working with. Every team has a different situation. I would say the nicest car that I've driven was a Mercedes. and the worst one was a Peugeot 206, a Peugeot 206. So the range was like huge.
Yeah.
But they definitely give you a reliable car to move around.
I don't know what your girlfriend's situation is here, so I'm hesitant to throw this question out for you, but we're wondering if the French ladies like Jamaican basketballers from Gary.
There's always love for Jamaican basketball. No matter where in the world you go, everybody wants to ask about, everybody's curious. Everybody wants to know about,
especially guys that have their own YouTube channel.
Yeah, that's actually something that I started doing more frequently since the quarantine, because before I've only put like videos on YouTube just to promote myself in terms of basketball, because that's like a good place where coaches can go and see different highlight tapes and stuff like that. So I've used, like, since leaving college, that's the only reason I used YouTube for before. Mm-hmm. But now, since I had so much time, I was like, the first 2 weeks I was happy, and I was like, okay, I got a lot of time to, relax and, do whatever I want. But then after 2 weeks, I was like, okay, now I'm going to have to start looking for things, like other things to occupy my time, constructive, and doing YouTube videos, trying to help other my fellow basketball players, has been definitely something that I've been wanting to do for a long time. And
yeah, that's great.
Yeah, that's definitely something that I've definitely start to, pay more attention to.
So everyone that's watching this, we want to make sure, because I want the same for myself, for the Jamaica Basketball Project, we're asking people to go to the channel and subscribe. We are going to also throw in there, go to Ricardo Alliman YouTube channel and subscribe to that.
Sweet.
As well. Right?
That would be great. I really appreciate it. Cool. I really appreciate it.
For me,
what I talk about on my channel is just like, basketball is cool and we go all out with it. But at the same time, we have to think about other areas, looking to develop other passions, and looking for other ways to, well, how would I say this? Create income streams. So that's definitely a passion of mine, and I just want to share it.
Do you have any, so season's done. We talked about that, right? They're not coming back till next. So are you going to stay in France? Are you going to go home at all if this virus thing lightens up a little bit, or are you going to hole out there for a while and do your thing?
I'm looking to get back to the States within a month's time. Hopefully that'll be possible. But for now, I'm just like, I decided to stay back in France just because by the time I saw the gravity of the situation, because at first I was like, maybe it's gonna last a couple of weeks and then we'll be good. So, but before those 2 weeks were up, I realized that the situation is actually pretty dire, and I decided to stay back in France just because, like, in the US, things were looking pretty bad. I'm not sure how bad it was for real, but based on the news that I was watching, it seemed pretty bad. So I decided to just stay in France and just, like, ride it out. And so right now I've been here 2 months in France, just relaxing. But I'm definitely looking to come back to the States within by late May, or by the end of this month to next month.
So when you go back to Jamaica, who do you stay with?
I usually like living in I actually rent. I always rent somewhere so I can have like privacy and
your own place.
My own place, my own space, because I like having my own space at times. I could go back to my family's house, but there's just not a lot of space, first of all. So I always decide to, get a place for me and then visit my family all the time. So I'm always with them anyway, but definitely want my own space.
Who are when you go back beyond your family, who are the first phone calls you're making? Who are you out to go see?
My friends from high school, probably.
Yeah,
definitely, because we've definitely kept a connection over the years since I've been gone. We've always stayed in contact. So anytime I go back to Jamaica, those are the first ones I call.
Do you want to shout out any of those guys right now?
Sure. Let's see. And you have Durain Dean, I used to go to school with him. Eric Watson, Dane Dwyer. Yeah, those are my day ones.
The homies, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you could put it like that.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, thanks for doing this.
No problem. It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. Wish you luck. We'll stay in touch, and as we move forward with once we get rolling back with basketball, and we'll stay in contact. And you're going to stay on here while I say goodbye, and then we're going to talk in just a second. Okay? So I'm going to let you go.
Good.
All right. We'll see you later.
Thanks again for having me. Appreciate it, and let's try to see what we can do together.
2024
project.
Come on, man.
Yes.
Right?
Iris,
we'll stay at your place.
Hey, you're welcome. Anytime.
All right, cool. All right. Ricky Alliman, great guy, great story, and appreciate him jumping on from France, 9 hours ahead from me. And so we're a little early with this whole deal. Appreciate you jumping on the live stream, and thanks for watching on the replay and asking questions. And as I mentioned, we're going to start podcasting as well on iTunes and Spotify and Google Podcasts. So look for that in the coming days. And wish you all a great holiday weekend, whether you're in the States celebrating Memorial Day, or whether you are in Jamaica celebrating Labor Day. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time on the Jamaica Basketball Project. Thanks.